Hello friends, welcome to a new episode of Drishti IAS editorial analysis. In this editorial analysis, we do three things. First of all, we link the editorial to the UPSC syllabus. Secondly, we try to understand the key points of the editorial. And thirdly, if any important concepts have come in the editorial, we also discuss them, which are important from exam point of view. So let us begin today's editorial analysis. We have taken today's editorial from the Hindustan Times and it has appeared on 29th of May. The title of the editorial is The End of Autonomy for Hong Kong, and it talks about China's unilateral measures which seem to erode both rights and prosperity for the city-state. Now let us look at its linkage with the syllabus. So it links directly with GS paper 2 where we have international relations. Because it concerns China and China is India's neighbor, so it links with India and its neighborhood relations as well. And because it is an important international development, so we have to study it in international relations. Now let us look at its key points. So before starting with the editorial key points, let us look at the map of China and see where Hong Kong is located. This is very important from exam point of view that you should be knowing the exact geographical location of these places which come in the news. So here we see that on the southern coast of China we have Hong Kong, and very near to it we have this place called Macau. Now both Macau and Hong Kong are special administrative regions of China which are established under the principle known as one country, two systems. And this one country, two systems allows these places lot of autonomy and freedom as compared to mainland China. And here we can see that Beijing is located towards the north. And this Macau and Hong Kong, they are separated by the Pearl River. This also we should know. And because these are special administrative regions of China and governed under the one country two systems principle, they enjoy a lot of freedom in terms of having their own government, in terms of having their own police force, and in terms of having a lot of freedom available to the citizens which are denied to the citizens of mainland China. And if we talk about Hong Kong, these freedoms include freedom to unrestricted internet, freedom of speech, and also freedom to freely assemble. So these are the kind of freedoms which are available to residents of Hong Kong but are denied to residents of mainland China. And here we should know the basic history of Hong Kong and Macau. So Macau was earlier a Portuguese colony, whereas Hong Kong was a former British colony. And Hong Kong was handed over to China in 1997, whereas Macau was handed over to China in 1999. And Hong Kong is governed by a basic law, which is also called its mini constitution. So these are some of the important things that we should know before we begin today's editorial discussion. So now let us move on to the editorial points. So the editorial says that this security law that has been passed by China, it seems to be an end of autonomy for Hong Kong. So when the British handed over Hong Kong to China, it was agreed by both sides that there will be protection of the freedom that the citizens of Hong Kong enjoy. And this was guaranteed by China till at least the year 2047. But gradually China has tried to strangle the freedoms that are provided to the citizens of Hong Kong. And this has led to a lot of protests which we saw in 2019 and are still underway. Now what China has done, it has passed a security law which will undermine the freedoms of the citizens of Hong Kong furthermore. And what this security law is going to do, it is a very sweeping law. And the security law will basically do three things. First of all, it will criminalize political dissent. And secondly, it will undermine individual freedom that is now available to the citizens of Hong Kong. And thirdly, it will also limit the foreigners' activities in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong, as we know, is an international financial hub. So by restricting the foreigners' activities, it will also lead to a flight of foreign capital that is now attracted to Hong Kong because it offers the best of both the worlds, the access to Chinese resources as well as the freedom that Hong Kong offers for businesses. So this is going to be problematic for Hong Kong. Now further the editorial says that China seems to have begun consolidating its territorial claims on its periphery and the first victim will be an autonomous Hong Kong. And how China has done it? So the mainland's National People's Congress, which is Chinese Parliament. And here we should know that this Chinese Parliament or National People's Congress is the world's biggest parliament by numbers because it has almost 2980 members. And this National People's Congress has passed a new sweeping security law that will criminalize most forms of political dissent. It will undermine the individual freedoms and also put a tight lid on the foreigners' activity in the city state. So Hong Kong, because it is a city and it is also having autonomy, so it is also called a city state. And though there is a government in Hong Kong, but it is a government which acts as a rubber stamp. That is, it totally toes the line of the Chinese government. And this Hong Kong authority, this is headed by the chief executive, whose name is Miss Carrie Lam. Now the Hong Kong authority has signaled its intention to pass the law, effectively ending the one country two systems principle that was the basis of the handover of the British colony. So that is why the people of Hong Kong are that much against this Chinese action. And also the people worldwide are not happy with this. And especially there has been strong international reaction where countries like UK, US, Canada and Australia have registered their strong protest against this unilateral Chinese action. And the US has also warned that if China takes such an action, then Hong Kong will no longer enjoy the special economic status that it currently enjoys with the US, which leads to favorable visa regime, tariffs, and financial regulations. So the US is very strict, and because there has been a lot of tension between US and China for long, so US doesn't want China to indulge in this, and it also sees an opportunity in this to act against China. And there are also concerns with the reports of capital flight because businesses are wanting to set up bases in Hong Kong only because it has lot of freedom available which are not available in mainland China. And these financial firms and businesses, now they will move their capital out of Hong Kong. It is an apprehension by the experts that now there will be a flight of capital from Hong Kong. And Hong Kong's future as an international financial center now looks very bleak. Finally, the editorial also talks about China's unilateralism, where it says that China has been bent upon taking unilateral actions and giving very less regard to international opinion and to multilateral forums. And this is further proved by the fact that China has officially dropped the first word in its traditional espousal of peaceful reunification with Taiwan. Earlier, it always used to say that the reunification with Taiwan would be peaceful, or in other words, it would always emphasize that there will be a peaceful reunification with Taiwan of mainland China. But now it has dropped this word peaceful. So it is also a strong arm tactic by China that it will want to reunify Taiwan with its territory, and there is no necessity that the process has to be peaceful. It can be done through threats and intimidation as well. So that is a very wrong signal that China is giving to the entire world. And the editorial makes the point that India should also watch China's aggression closely, for it could directly impinge on its own security interest. And as we are seeing that China has become very aggressive in the neighborhood, especially there has been a lot of tension in the line of actual control, both in the eastern sector as well as in the western sector. And it somehow points to the use of such tactics by China to get its way. Whether through these actions, China wants to intimidate India into supporting it in forums like World Health Organization, where China is facing a lot of heat by US and other countries, it remains to be seen. But India must stand firm, and India should also be alert to these Chinese designs and should strengthen its security as well as try to settle the border dispute in a peaceful, negotiated manner as early as possible. So these were the key points of the editorial. Now let us look at the key concepts. So in key concepts, let us learn about Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is an autonomous territory and a former British colony in southeastern China. It became a colony of the British Empire at the end of the First Opium War in 1842. Now this topic is also important from world history point of view. So you should be aware about the Opium Wars which were fought. Now sovereignty over the territory was returned to China in 1997 and Hong Kong became a special administrative region whereby it maintains governing and economic systems that are separate from those of mainland China, and the citizens enjoy a lot of autonomy, but now it is being threatened. The 1984 Sino-British Joint Declaration guarantees the basic law for 50 years after the transfer of sovereignty. So the transfer took place in 1997. So it is guaranteed for 50 years after that. But it does not specify how Hong Kong will be governed after 2047, and the central government's role in determining the territory's future system of government is the subject of political debate and speculation. So this is where the problem is. Gradually China is trying to gain more and more control over the way Hong Kong is run, and that is creating problem with the citizens of Hong Kong who are used to a more free way of life. Now let us look at some of the important protests that have taken place in Hong Kong over the years. So one of the most famous movement that took place in Hong Kong was the Umbrella Movement, and it started as a spontaneous social movement for democratic development in Hong Kong in September 2014. And it was a large movement in terms of duration, location and reach, and also very much empowered by digital media. So the protests that take place in Hong Kong, they are very much digitally driven. And the name of Umbrella Movement came because umbrellas were used as a tool for passive resistance to the Hong Kong police during a 79-day occupation of the city. And the umbrellas were basically used by the protesters as a way of defending against the use of pepper spray by the police forces. So that is how the movement got its name of Umbrella. And this is very important from William's point of view. Now let us look at the 2019 protests that took place last year. Now these protests started in June 2019 demanding the withdrawal of the extradition bill, which would have allowed the extradition of fugitives in mainland China, and it became the city's biggest political crisis in modern times. Now this extradition bill was being seen as a tool of the Chinese government to suppress political dissent, whereby political opponents would be sent to mainland China where they'll have no legal recourse. So that was the biggest issue. And now let us look at the reasons for opposition. So opponents of the bill said that there was a danger of exposing people of Hong Kong to unfair trials and violence in mainland China. And they also said that it would give China greater influence over Hong Kong and could be used to target activists and journalists. And it would also allow China to encroach on the rare freedoms which are allowed in Hong Kong, like freedom of speech, freedom of press, etc., which are not that much allowed in mainland China. So this was the reason for the protest to acquire a shape of mass movement. And originally it started as a movement or protest against the extradition bill, but later on it became a broader movement. And it became more about the protection of freedom of Hong Kong or autonomy of Hong Kong. So this was all in today's editorial analysis. Now let us look at the questions that can be asked from this editorial in PT and mains. So in PT you can be asked simple and direct questions about one country, two systems, where it is followed. So in China, and it applies to both Macau and Hong Kong. Then one can be asked about one China policy as well, which deals with Taiwan. And under this, China expects countries which have diplomatic relations with China not to have any kind of diplomatic relations with Taiwan. Then one can be asked about special administrative regions, which are again Hong Kong and Macau. The location of Hong Kong can also be asked in a map-based question. And one can be asked about the former colony of Hong Kong being a former British colony and Macau being a former Portuguese colony. And then about Umbrella Movement, the 2019 protest. So this was about the extradition bill. And this was in 2014. So this we should be knowing. Now in mains, a question can be asked about the protests in Hong Kong and about this new security bill and how it will impact this one country, two systems policy in Hong Kong. And a question can be asked about China's growing unilateralist tendencies, where it is taking unilateral actions without any regard to international opinion or to the opinion of affected countries, and how it impacts the neighborhood relations, especially with India, with which it shares a long boundary which is disputed. So this kind of question can be asked in mains and one should be prepared on that. So this was all in today's editorial analysis. We'll see you next time with another editorial. Thank you.